Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hi, everybody. It's Sunday, and it's time for a new episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. Fruit Loop, how are you?
I'm good. And you forgot to ask me about my allergic reaction last night. Oh. I just remember that.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I see that you're here, and you're good. We started this thread. Yesterday, I probably spent more time on Facebook in one day than I have in a year. And there was the funnest thread in 80s group that I'm a member of where you use emojis, and then you have to guess what 80s song it is. And oh my gosh,
it was funny.
Like every 2 minutes I'm opening my Facebook. And so I posted it on my Facebook. And so my family was like, we were all going down and doing these songs. And Fruit Loop's like, I had to take Benadryl, my lips swollen.
Yeah, so I went to a friend's house last night. We had a birthday party. Only thing new that I ate was blackberry jelly jam. So I started on the way home and I'm like, my lip feels weird.
Oh, no.
So when I get home, I'm talking and I'm like, I looked at my dad and I was like, my lip's swelling. He's like, yep.
Oh, no.
So that's the only thing I can figure. Like diabetes does that. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes I'm allergic to peanuts and sometimes I'm not. So I did eat peanuts, but so anyways.
Yeah, I remember the first time that you had an allergic reaction, you had like one of those cheese balls, right? And then like your mouth just started swelling.
Yeah, well, my first reaction was somebody opened a can of peanuts. I didn't even eat it, and my lip swelled up. So I was coaching at the time at a high school, and I had to like coach first base with Benadryl in my system. So it was a little crazy.
Oh no!
Yeah. So
were you sleeping standing up?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
So let's explain to everybody about the terrible audio.
Okay, it was bad. It was so bad.
It was so bad. Sorry, y'all.
So the wonderful cat Sherlock, he's Houdini over here. Sometimes he jumps up over here on the desk. Well, obviously he had jumped up on the soundboard and I didn't realize it and had turned the knobs. Mm-hmm. So he had the EQ all messed up. Yeah.
And we realized this after we had finished recording over an hour.
Yeah.
And so Fruit Loop was like, I'm going to fix this because we didn't want to have to redo it. It's just.
So that's why it was ugly, but it was at least tolerable to an extent.
But we are upgrading a lot of things.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to upgrade the studio where we are. We're going to do some upgrades in there to create a better sound environment and getting some new equipment. So what we put out will be, so we don't have to get the messages, and we appreciate the messages.
Yeah.
Because believe me, we knew it sounded horrible.
Yeah.
We were just
too lazy to redo it.
It was an hour worth of stuff, and it was good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. So
yeah,
we're sorry. And then we forget if you watch us on YouTube, you don't see the messages, so we're going to do better letting you know what's going on with that. So.
Yeah, hopefully that's the last time that happens. We did a double sound check today to make sure it sounded good. But yeah, hopefully by spring, I think we will have everything built.
Yeah.
And all the equipment here, and hopefully it'll sound like, a movie trailer.
I don't know about that, but we'll try. We'll try. So you watched some new stuff.
I did. I go through these little, I get tired of binging stuff. So I might binge things for like a week, and then for 3 weeks I'm cleaning my house or gutting my house or whatever. So now I'm back on watching my crime shows. And Netflix has a little mini series out called Crime Scene: The Vanishing at, I think it's Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles.
See, I would say Cecil.
Yeah, I would say Cecil too, but everybody on Cecil? There, I think it was Cecil. I don't know. I'd taken my Ambien, me.
Cecil.
And I thought it was really cool because I've been covering trials since probably about 2013. And I did that solid for about 4 or 5 years. And got to go sit in some really big cases. Jodi Arias, the Colorado theater shooter. And so that's kind of how my love for this started. And I kind of, I don't know. I don't even know what I was going to say.
Like you're talking about there's a new show on.
Oh, good grief. See,
Yeah.
Look, okay, first of all, we're not doing any kind of an outline today. We are flying by the seat of our pants.
This might get good.
As more of like a coffee talk.
Buckle up.
Yeah, we might end up talking about Area 51 before the end of all this because we get so far off topic. But it's a really, really good documentary because when I started, and I'm back to my original point, when I started following trials, I had no clue that there was this community of people all across the internet that are just amateur sleuths that really make a difference sometimes to law enforcement. I know sometimes amateur sleuthing can overload law enforcement because people think, oh, if I see something on this picture, I'm going to call and tie up the police lines.
Yeah.
But so it kind of talked about how web sleuths can be a huge asset to cases, and then how sometimes it's a little bit off the mark. But they were following the case of the girl, I think it was Elisa. She was the girl that was seen in this really weird surveillance footage in the elevator. And so they find this girl in a water tower on top of the hotel. And she's naked and her clothes are in the bottom. So initially you just think like foul play. Well, they go on and they're investigating the case. And so I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I just think it's really cool that web sleuths and people who look at these cases were recognized because I've seen it covering cases where people absolutely find things online that investigators missed.
Yeah. It's some people are detailed oriented people,
mm-hmm.
and they just understand stuff and they dissect stuff and they can spend a lot of time on it.
Right. And then, so you have people who have no formal training that are just innately good at sleuthing. And then sometimes some of these groups have retired FBI, they have retired law enforcement, retired coroners. So you can really, if you find the right places, you can really learn a lot just by seeing how these people work. And so I just thought it was interesting that they included the online communities, and they interviewed several people who were heavily invested in this case, kind of like we are with JJ and Tylee. And so you kind of see them go through what we've been through in the past year, and it's been a year since Lori's been arrested.
Yep.
So it's very familiar stuff. So I think all of you guys would enjoy that. The other one that I just saw right before we went on is If I Can't Have You is on Discovery Plus, and that is revisiting the Jodi Arias case and Travis Alexander.
Yep, I've seen there's several on there that new that they're putting out.
Yeah, and that was the first case I ever covered. And I got to sit in that courtroom, and it's just so weird to be in these courtrooms. You watch this stuff unfold from home online, and then eventually I got to sit in that courtroom and look at her, and there is a definite energy when you're in that courtroom with somebody who's done stuff like this.
Yeah.
I think the worst one for me was James Holmes. We sat in a few days on that trial in Colorado, and I've said this before, when the jury was in the room, he was very sedated, just didn't react at all, just kind of sat there like a bump on a log. But as soon as the jury left, he would turn around, smile at people. I really hope that by the time this case goes to trial, and I think it's going to be a few years, that we can sit in.
Yeah.
It's just a strange feeling to watch this, because we almost feel like we know these people.
Yeah.
And you don't. But just to be in the same room with people that are capable of doing what they've done, it is a very kind of chill down your spine feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when you make eye contact with them.
Exactly.
James Holmes turned around, looked dead at me and smiled, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to smile back or
look away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's a very weird feeling.
Yeah. So you found a new picture.
Yes, of Melanie Pawlowski with all of her children, the 4 children she had with Brandon and her new baby with Ian. And can I just say, this is a saying in the South, Her youngest little girl, it looks like she chewed her up and spit her out.
Yeah, she looks just like her mom.
Just like her mom.
Yeah.
That has to be what Melanie looked like when she was a baby.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Fruit Loop? Do you think we're ever going to see any more charges in this, or any more arrests?
I don't know. I mean, they say they hadn't closed the investigation, so there's always a possibility.
Yeah. We were all super shocked when Melanie got joint custody of her kids.
Yeah, we were waiting on that. We were like, they're going to arrest her. She walks out, whatever.
I figured they would have. My theory a month ago when this, no, it was November, right? It's been a while. Gosh, man, these months are flying by.
Yep.
My theory at the time was that she's going to get arrested and she's never going to have this unsupervised visitation, but we're there.
Yeah.
And so it just got me thinking. I mean, I don't think that a judge is going to give her unsupervised visitation if, I mean, you can't deny her if there are no charges. You can't hold visitation on anticipation. And she had to pass a lot of psychological tests and that kind of thing. So I thought maybe before she gets the unsupervised, she'll get arrested, but we've passed that mark. So I guess at this point, I would just hope that they're all receiving counseling.
Yeah.
And they're all working through this. And obviously the court's goals is to reunite parents with their kids for visitations and stuff. But it was really telling to me that, because I thought, why would Brandon fight so hard and then give up?
Yeah.
But if you pass all of your mental health exams and there's no red flags, if you remember, one of them said that Melanie, there were no issues, but the interviewer thought Brandon was the one that had more issues. Now that was only one person, but yeah. So I just don't think the judge would play around with kids and say, oh yeah, we're going to give you supervised and unsupervised. And then 2 months later, she's out of the picture. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, if she's not charged, she should be able to have visits with her kids. That's not to say that in the spring something doesn't come up.
Yeah, we all know, we're looking at what happened with Lori and her, taking her kids' lives and all that stuff. So that's why we worry about them. And I know Brandon was worried too. That's why he was in hiding for so long.
Right.
So you just pray they'll be okay.
Yep. And before we get into the 1 year since the arrest, we have a little bit of news about Miss Leticia.
Yeah, so that was a shocker. When that came out, they had a closed hearing, I guess.
Yeah.
Where it was just her attorneys and the judge. I don't even think prosecution was in there.
No, I think I'm pretty sure this hearing was about starting the process of getting new attorneys. But yeah, you go ahead and tell them what they're thinking.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to look up the name of it because it was a funky name. It started with an A.
This is what happens when we don't have an outline, y'all.
See, it is. It starts with an A. Apple. No, I'm just kidding. So it's called something, and I'll get it in a minute. But so they met, and it looks like either she's going to get a new attorney, or y'all gonna be like, what in the world are they saying? I don't have it in front of me. You got it. Yeah, I'm getting there. So she met with them. She's wanting new attorneys, obviously, or they're thinking, is she wanting to represent herself? So the wording that they used for that, they called it, I can't think of the name of it. And my phone won't let me look. But anyway, won't you look it up while I'm talking about this?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, it's the word that the court used for the next hearing she has. They're going to get it. Look, our audience is like, I know exactly what you're talking about because I've already read it once. And I read all this before. Okay, so they're saying that her next hearing, and it's a special word anyways. Yeah, it's like a something. It's a weird word.
ARGUELLO, advisement. And all of the legal people listening to us are going to be rolling their eyes saying, what morons?
Excuse us, we're not dumb. So anyways, they're thinking that when you have that kind of hearing, it is to represent yourself.
So we've gone from a month ago, she's trying to have it declared that she's incompetent to stand trial, and now a month later, she's a scholar who can represent herself.
She's so competent. And
I
think that was one of her complaints in one of that letter she did, wasn't it? She doesn't get to access the library, the law library or something. I don't know. So yeah, it's just weird.
I mean, it's such a switch. It's going to be a disaster. But
Yeah.
I don't know at what point the court steps in, but I guess if you want to represent yourself, I mean,
they proved she's
competent.
So
There you go.
we talked about it. It's going to be weird because then that means she gets to talk and interview everybody.
Yeah. Can you imagine her like cross-examining Al?
Yeah.
Or the mother of, Landon, Gannon's mother?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot mess. These things never go well.
No.
Never.
Nope. I'm telling you, I'm just saying, she's got a weird look in her eye.
She definitely does to me. I am not judgmental on appearances or anything like that. That's just like one road I don't go down covering these cases.
Yeah.
But it is strange.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And to me, if you look at pictures of Lori or Leticia or anybody before they kill, it's like after the murders, there is a different look in their eyes.
Yeah.
It has to change your soul. But you're right. I do. Well, Lori, I don't know. She's been smiling and everything, so I take that back.
Yeah, she's always above everybody else.
Yeah.
So, but it's just something about.
But I do see it a lot of times, though. You do see there is a look, even if they're smiling in their pictures. I don't know. It's just I think evil just attaches itself to people.
Exactly.
And it comes out.
Yep.
So 1 year yesterday, Lori was arrested in Kauai.
Dude, I remember that. We weren't doing a podcast yet.
No, we didn't start this podcast till June. And the first 2 or 3 episodes, y'all, they're out there and they're bad because we were just literally using an iMac computer microphone.
Yeah.
But we had talked about it for like 2 or 3 weeks before Chad was arrested. And the day he was arrested, when we first got the alert that they were on the property digging, we were like, how quick can we sign up for a podcast site?
Yeah.
And we just followed it for a few hours that day, came back like the next day, and then...
Yeah, I think the first one was like over 2 hours.
Oh yeah,
but it's got the most hits on our.
That's what's so
listeners.
funny, and it's
the worst audio.
Audio wise, it's terrible.
But yeah, so we were following the case way before that, but we didn't start a podcast till he got arrested. So I remember like we were sitting when we got that alert that they were arresting her. We were like, "What?"
Well, we didn't get the alert they were arresting him.
No,
if you remember,
arresting her.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought about Chad.
No,
yeah, that was because you go through 2-3 months of knowing about the case, knowing about the kids. And then when we find out that she's in Hawaii, which Eric from East Idaho News, they did a little roundtable about the 1 year anniversary of her arrest. And I didn't know this, but he says he got an anonymous tip on Facebook telling them exactly where Chad and Lori were in Hawaii. He still doesn't know who sent it, but we were talking, it has to be either somebody close to them that knew they were there, or maybe once the story kind of went mainstream, somebody spotted them in that complex.
Yeah.
One of the two, but it just felt like forever. We would both say, is she ever going to be arrested?
Yep, because then you have Nate, and he does the whole questioning to them.
Where are your kids, Lori?
Yeah, which was great.
Oh, yeah.
So you get all that, and then we just think, oh, they're not going to be arrested. They're
right.
just. So yeah, it was good.
It was. And I started covering this, or I remember very specifically when I read the first article about this case. It was on the Daily Mail, which is a tabloid in a way, but I talked about this on the last one. I like the Daily Mail because their pictures are awesome.
Yeah.
And it just intrigued me from the first write-up that I read on it. And, for about 2-3 weeks, I was just sleuthing Chad and Lori on the internet. And then you had never covered trials.
No.
Ever. You knew I did it for years, and we would talk about it and stuff, but it wasn't really your jam at the time. And then I was like, Fruit Loop, you've got to read this case. This is just bizarre. This is going to be a good one to follow. And I mean, the next day you had researched so much. And it took you a day to learn more than what I had learned in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a sponge. I took it all in.
I was so happy because we've been needing a hobby. The two, because like Fruit Loop will come over and, you know, we watch TV and we like hang out with my kids, but like we needed something to do.
Yeah.
And this was perfect. Yeah. And we're at my house. It's, you know, it's very comfortable for us. So we just jumped in and it's grown. I had no clue it will grow. I mean,
yeah, we were like, why would somebody want to listen to us?
I said, we're going to have Grammy and like our parents.
Yeah, and that was it.
And maybe
we're
like
have 3 people.
And one interesting thing, we've never put on our social media, like I think maybe I've tweeted it once from my private account or my personal account. It's not private, but like we haven't even told a lot of people we know we're doing this.
No.
People are just now finding out because of the Victoria Rose case, which is local.
Yeah.
And so I keep getting these messages and they're like, oh man, I clicked on this podcast and I'm like, wait, this sounds like Hootie, because that's my nickname here in the area we live in. And wait, that's Fruit Loop. What are the girls doing on a podcast?
Yeah.
So people are starting to find us out now. No reason to hide it.
No, we didn't hide it. We were covering an out-of-state case, and we just didn't share it on our personal accounts. I don't think I still have.
I've not on my Facebook. I have on my Twitter, just because I still have a lot of people on my regular Twitter that follow me from when I did this years ago. But I've just gotten to where I used to overshare on Facebook so much. I mean, I would post what I was having for dinner. And then finally, over a few years, I just thought, I really don't want people knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind sharing. And now I will share a picture of my kids maybe every 3 months. And that's kind of it. Yeah. I just, Facebook has, no matter what side of the fence you stand on, it's a battlefield. Yeah. And I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut sometimes. So I just find that not going on there is a good thing. But yeah, so we're starting to have our people we know say, "Wait, it sounds very familiar."
Yeah. So we're sitting at a year later, and still no murder charges. Yeah,
but if you consider the fact that Idaho does not have a statute of limitations for murder, I mean, there's no timetable of when they have to drop them.
Yeah.
And there's no rush because we know they can't bond out. If they ever would have tried, I think Rob would have laid down the hammer.
Yeah, it's not like they're making money where they are.
No, they're just, they're starting, this is the first year in jail for Lori. For the rest of her years, I feel certain.
Yeah.
So there's no rush. They're not going anywhere. For us, we want that instant gratification of the charges have been filed.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's so many agencies involved in this case. You're looking at what we figured out 5-6 agencies and coordinating your investigations that lap over into another agency. It's just organized chaos, I'm sure.
Yep.
And then you think about Rob Wood saying that he sent 36,000 pages of discovery to Mark Means, and that's not even all of it.
Yeah.
It's going to take so long.
Like, how do you go through? I mean, I would be willing to go through it for him.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I would take it.
Put me and Fruit Loop in a room.
Yeah, I would go through it
with some discovery.
Come on. But yeah, that's a lot of information.
So in the beginning, once we knew she was arrested, you and I differed on whether or not the kids were alive or dead.
Yeah, we went back and forth. At first we thought, oh, she's just mad at Kay and Larry. She's going to just do whatever she can to get back at them. I
didn't buy that though.
Yeah, we went through the whole thing of Tylee's taking care of JJ. That's why she's not seen.
In a bunker.
Like it was, in a bunker somewhere. It was back and forth.
Yeah. You know, and it wasn't until you saw the video from, was it Gilbert Police, where it's her and Tylee and Melanie Gibb in there?
Yeah.
It's about when he had her purse. Charles had her purse. Yep. She went to the cops. It wasn't until that video came out and you said something that made a lot of sense to me at the time. You said, look at how they flow. Like, you know how Tylee would quieten her mom down when she was getting loud and rowdy. And you said, there's no way that she would kill her. I don't see it. I don't think that she would allow anything to happen to her. And that's kind of the moment where I thought on that, and it made a little bit of sense to me in that she's always kind of had Tylee with her. You know, it's Colby's moved out. You got JJ, who's been with him a few years, but Tylee's her daughter, her only daughter. And so you just kind of start thinking, yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe they are just hidden. So I went through a couple of months of that and then eventually just came back to no way. There's no way they're hidden for this long with, you know, a little boy who has some autism and a 17-year-old. There's just no way.
Yeah. But then that's when we did our first podcast. We get the covering chat. They're searching his property, and I remember it was Nate was in that helicopter.
Yeah.
And they were searching the property, and
at that point I knew it wasn't good because you have to have so much probable cause to be able to get a warrant to go dig up somebody's yard.
Yeah.
And then from the overhead shot, seeing exactly where they were on the property, I said, they know these kids are there. Those kids are buried right there. But still, I was like, there's no way those kids are buried there.
Yeah.
How did you, I mean, like, what was your reaction when you found out that the kids, when they came out and said, we have recovered human remains?
I mean, I was always holding out hope that they were still alive because that's just what you want, you know, and you want the family, you want that reconnection with the family and brought back together. So, I mean, it was kind of a gut punch. Yeah. Oh no. That we've spent all this time, everybody hoping they were alive, people looking for them, rewards offered. Mm-hmm. And then, you get that finality news. It wasn't, it wasn't good.
And I've always wondered, why would he bury him on his property? I think the only thing I can think of is with them being that close, he would know at what point maybe law enforcement was getting close.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other reason.
They don't think like normal people.
No.
Neither one of them do.
No.
So it's hard to say what they're thinking and why.
Yeah.
But I mean, that could be a possibility.
Yeah. So in Idaho, they have 5 years to file felonies, and then they have 1 year for misdemeanors. So we've passed the 1 year. They're charged, they've got the felonies that are, I believe, 10 years combined possible sentence. And then at some point in the way past, we did a whole podcast, I think, on cults.
Yeah, I remember that.
And because I've always sort of been of the mindset with Lori that it's not a super popular opinion. I do think in a lot of ways she was brainwashed.
I think, and this is strictly my opinion, this is for entertainment purposes only. I think when you allow someone to get in your head and convince you of things and make things look like they, all rosy and whatever. I mean, we know he told her all kind of stuff. So when you allow that to happen and you're not grounded in your faith and you don't have your feet firmly on the ground and a good foundation, I think that opens the way up for you to believe anything he tells you.
Yeah. And, according to Charles, and I never heard anything about this past, maybe reading it a couple of times in some articles where Charles said that it seemed to him that this sort of all kicked off in Hawaii when she supposedly had a near-death experience.
Yep. And
so she became obsessed. And that, I guess I don't know what year that was, maybe 2016, 17, I'm not sure. But so then we know she finds Chad and his books and finds this community. And I think whatever was loose up there, Chad was kind of like the powder keg.
Yeah.
That made it go boom.
Yeah.
Because to her, if she is using this near-death experience to find explanation or whatever, you got this guy, Chad, who among these people may seem like a big guy. To us, he's a guy that makes $2,000 a year selling his books. So he's small potatoes, and he holds all of his meetings in somebody's living room. So for me, it's not quite on the Jim Jones level of cult leader. Wannabe cult leader, but hey, I'm sure Jim Jones started somewhere.
Yeah.
He started in a church in San Francisco, but it doesn't have to be a big thing. I mean, we have dead people all over the place with this case. And I think a lot of it, I think 100% of it is based in this cult, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Because you made a point about Colby a long time ago, which is what?
Yeah, I mean, he lived. She didn't harm him.
Tylee died at 16.
Yeah.
And I mean, she had JJ from infancy. So we know in her past, she did some really horrible, questionable things that were narcissistic and selfish, but she didn't murder.
Yeah. She did do some crazy stuff with Charles. That whole, all that whole, thing. And then, with the divorces and all that stuff. So there's definitely issues.
And even back to the period in time way before Chad where Tylee is in the hospital a lot, which they never could find any reason that we know of for these hospital visits, which kind of is reminiscent of Munchausen syndrome, which is an attention-seeking thing for the parent. And I don't think that's far off.
She was definitely an attention seeker.
And we were just talking about that right before we came on with the pageant that she did. We know she did that one in Texas. Miss America's one thing, but when you're joining like Little Miss North Texas or whatever it was, to me, it just screams a need for validation.
Yeah.
Because these are all married women that, get up there and sing and dance. And okay, I mean, if you've got it, flaunt it. But for me personally, I guess because I'm a tomboy and I never understood pageants. I mean, no disrespect to anybody who does.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just not your thing.
It is so not my thing.
It's not my thing either.
Thank goodness my daughters never wanted to do it. Yeah. But I just saw that as sort of a need to be admired.
Yeah.
So that's.
But I mean, even just trying to understand Lori's mental capacity and her thoughts, like just the lies and the like. I heard somebody talk about this the other day. What is it going to be like when she comes off of that high?
If she ever does.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people. I don't know. I'm like you. I don't know what at the center of it is going on with her. All I know is she did some really bad stuff in the past with a lot of people, including Tylee.
Yeah.
But it's just not murder. So do you feel like she needed this sense of purpose or grandeur? It's like if she gets in with Chad, Chad sees her, he's frumpy, he's got like, buzz cut, wears plaid shirts that are way too, with the belt too tight and gut hanging over. Just, he looks like a dad. Yeah. I'm not trying to be, there are some hot dads out there. I'm just going to say Chad wasn't one of them. So you have to wonder, what did she see when she saw Chad as opposed to Charles? Charles had money. He was nice looking. He was fit.
And he took care of her and he loved her.
And he took care of her family.
Yeah. And he loved her.
Yes. Very much. You could tell. You could tell Charles was very happy with his family.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, you get somebody pumps you with all this stuff and tells you all these things about who you are in a past life and just all this stuff, and I'm not saying she is innocent by no means.
No.
But it was like we've said before, it's like gas and fire or whatever. Like when they got together, it was just unhealthy for anybody and everybody they came into contact with.
That is the truth. And for me, I know I say I do think Lori was brainwashed, but there's no way to justify her reactions after the kids were missing and the whole smug thing. And all the lies that she told prior to like even the search warrant, which is JJ is at his grandma's, Tylee's at BYU. So she was able to concoct and successfully say many things that were only meant to throw people off the path.
Yeah. When you're mentally unhealthy and you're crazy, you don't know that you have to do and make up all this stuff.
Right.
She knows exactly what she's doing.
The other argument could be if you, and I've done a lot of research on cults and it's very fascinating, but only about, and I found this from a very old New York Times article, 1982. Couldn't find any updated.
82.
1982.
Dude, we were 5.
Yeah, you were older than me.
No.
You're an old woman now.
I'm not old.
But only 5 or 6% of people who join cults have a diagnosed mental illness.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have been higher. 2/3 of people who join cults are mentally healthy, and 1/3 are coming off of a devastating loss.
For me, being like getting drawn into a cult, just like what you said, it doesn't mean you have a mental illness. It means you're believing what somebody's telling you.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily make you crazy. It just makes you're placing your faith and your trust in this person that's leading you down the wrong road. So that you're mentally healthy. You're just placing your focus on something else.
And that's what cult leaders do. They're very good at kind of, it almost reminds me of like boot camp.
Yeah.
You know, when guys and gals go to boot camp and come out, they're different. And it's not necessarily like in that situation, it's not in a bad way. They just have to retrain your brain how to survive.
Well, they break you down of what you thought you were, and they rebuild you how they want you to be rebuilt.
Which is pretty much the same standard I think most cult leaders use.
Yeah.
Isolation from family. We know Lori was sending her family buckets of food.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are just ways that they break you down and they make you feel like that group is your salvation. If you break from that group, you're going to be nothing.
Yep.
I think there was a huge element here, which was probably a lot of stuff fueled by sexual attraction and maybe Chad's need to have somebody who would do everything he says to do. And I think Lori filled that part because maybe in her mind, Chad's going to be the next David Koresh.
Yep. I'm going to tell you when we got video of them when they were walking through Hawaii and Nate was hot on their trail asking all those questions, she would look to him to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she did respond one time. That's great. You know, that little, but and then Nate's funny. He's like, that's great. You got people searching everywhere for your kids. And I love Nate.
Oh, I do too.
But she always looked to Chad to respond.
Yeah.
And he was always in the front. And to me, it said that's what she did.
Yeah.
She looked to him for answers and whatever. And for me, that means he basically poured a lot into her.
Mm-hmm.
In not a good way at all.
Yeah.
So
it's the same as almost it being in an abusive relationship, in that whoever is the one abusing, the control they have over a person is insane. And so from the outside, you may say, I mean, you have to leave. Why don't you just leave? It's not even a financial situation sometimes. It is an emotional, mental hold.
Yeah.
That whether people have been threatened in the family, we don't know. But I mean, I don't know. It's just you have everybody who knew her saying, this is not like her. I mean, she was a great mom. Even Kay and Annie and everybody who knew and loved these kids at some point has said, came out of the blue. Never would have thought her. So that's why I think when you have family members who are saying, this is not her, there was a change mentally with her. And it's like whatever Lori they knew just left the building.
Yep.
And, you know, unfortunately, when everybody knew how bad it was just too late.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What are some other things that you know, that stick out for you with this case?
I think one of the big things was when Charles changed his life insurance policy. He changed the beneficiary.
Yes.
And they have all that information or whatever.
Yeah.
To me, that was huge.
Well, we know there was a call made. And so we know from Charles's email, I believe this email was to either his lawyer or Adam. I'm not sure which one, where he says they have the call. They recorded the call. So I'm curious to see, was it Chad or was it Alex? Because we know Alex did impersonations and very good, I might add.
Yeah, he was good.
So I've always said too, when Kate last spoke to JJ, I'm not convinced that wasn't Alex.
Well, I think that was a video though.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
but
Yeah,
no.
I think it was a video, wasn't it?
There was one video, but then if you remember, it was like he was handed the phone and he said hi and bye and like took off. And I remember thinking like that could have been Alex. It might have even been JJ.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'll have to look back.
I remember the one she talked about where she was like, somebody was standing there holding the sign that he read, and then he just said, "Hey, Mama, hey, Pawpaw,
Right.
gotta go, bye," and left. I know that was a video, but
Yeah.
I think the one I think that may have been Alex was talking to Lori's mom.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay. Yeah. So it was Lori's mom.
Yeah. I think that's a possibility.
Because she said she talked to JJ after he was killed.
Yeah, it was like October.
And
or
it would have
something.
had to have been Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking about when Kay was talking about how JJ that whole thing seemed very scripted. I wonder if it's because maybe JJ at that point had seen some things that were odd, or some things had happened that they just did not want him to say in front of his grandparents.
Yeah. There's a reason why he didn't state when Charles was shot. There's a reason why he wasn't there. They took him to school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, autistic kids they remember a ton of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to tell you a ton of stuff. And they are so awesome. And I just think that's a possibility.
I've never met a child with autism who was not 100% honest.
Yeah, like they're brutally honest.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, brutally honest. I had a kid in my class one time. It was so funny. We had a pastor who he had like a partial like in his front teeth.
Uh-huh.
So he had it, and I mean nobody ever said anything to him about it, but it was like a whole thing, like the whole front. It was like just like 4 or 5 teeth across front. It was just like whole. And one of my autistic kids, we stopped by the church to visit, and that's the first thing this kid runs up to him and shakes his hand and says, "And what's wrong with your teeth?"
Gotta love it.
So yeah, they're just awesome. But
yeah. But and then one of my burning questions is the email that was sent to Adam, which is Lori's brother. He was on that 3-hour special with Kay and Larry. He seems like a really nice guy. He told Adam in that email that he had found Tammy Daybell's phone number and email address, and he was going to contact her. And that's just one thing I'm so curious if he was successful in doing.
Yeah.
Because that could have been the turning point in all of this. I would like to know, when did he contact Tammy, if he did, in relation to when he was killed?
I have a gut feeling that she knew just by her reaction to the text that Chad sent her the day he supposedly shot the raccoon.
It was so salty.
It was like,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah.
Like he tells her this long story, and she's just like, good for you.
Yeah.
And that was it.
But Melanie Gibb did confirm at one point that she was suspicious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we think she knew. I'm just curious if Charles was the one that reached out first, or no, I'm sure if your husband's cheating, it's not super hard to find out.
That's why we want this trial to hurry up and get here.
Oh, it ain't going to be soon.
We want to know all this stuff.
Yeah.
So.
It's not going to be soon.
Yeah.
At all. What about the dynamics between Lori and Alex? Because we have brothers and we're close to our brothers, but not that close.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't know, it just seems like he followed her everywhere.
Yeah. But did she keep him around just to do his dirty work?
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
He definitely did her dirty work. I mean, he sent Joe Ryan to the hospital after he tased him.
Yeah.
And he did jail time for her. If he hadn't have died, he would be doing jail time for her again.
Yeah.
That dynamic is so interesting to me. I don't know if anything else about the relationship will come to light, but I don't know. I just I love my brother, but I'm not going to do his dirty work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. That whole thing's strange.
And I'm interested to know what Zulema knows, that whole all that. You know, did he talk to her about all that stuff or what?
Whatever she knows is big.
Yeah.
obviously not enough to implicate herself, but I mean, she's got immunity, so they're not giving her immunity for nothing.
Yeah, and they didn't, like, when they brought out all the stuff about Wood and talking to Summer.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't hear anything. There was nothing, no audio or anything of their meeting with Zulema. So
yeah, I think her and Melanie Gibb, I think maybe Zulema more than Melanie Gibb is going to be the star witness.
Yeah.
She was married to who we think is, other than Tammy, the murderer.
Yeah.
We know he killed Charles. We're pretty sure he killed the kids, and probably conspired for Tammy. But he escaped a lot of punishment.
Yeah. And it could have been Alex with that one too. I don't know, with Tammy.
You never know.
He was obviously at their house, so who knows?
Yep.
I
did see one thing just today that I haven't seen yet, and they had a woman on Dr. Oz, and I'm not sure when it aired, but she was in jail with Lori. It seemed like maybe this was a different one, or if this is, maybe I just didn't hear this, but she said at one point, obviously there was a news story on the TV about the kids, and Lori said to her that Tylee's eyes were just as blue as hers.
Huh.
Yeah. And that's the only clip that I saw. I didn't have time to look for the whole episode. But you remember the other girl, or if it's the same girl, saying she just seems very indifferent and she couldn't wait for the news story to come on. She had a hearing one day. I think it was it the cherry, like Jolly Rancher lipstick hearing? I think it was.
Yeah.
And like the number 2 pencil eyeliner, that all she wanted to do was see her news story.
Yeah. That's just sick, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
What the world? Come on.
I know. I wish we need somebody else that's been in there with her since to let us know what she's doing, because that's what I'm curious about. We haven't seen her in a very long time at a hearing.
No. We need a description.
Those roots are probably about half grown.
Yeah, we need to know.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, here's the question, and we have not discussed this. So I'm throwing you under the bus on this one.
Oh, boy.
So if they do bring charges, they will have to appear for those charges.
Yeah, and then we're going to have probable cause affidavits, which is going to tell us how they were able to...
No, the whole thing will be redacted.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be straight up black. It'll have Lori, Vallow, Daybell, whatever they're calling her.
Yeah.
And like it'll just be straight up black squares.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
But I think what's crazy is that we think we have such a good grip on this case, and we probably know about 8%.
8's high.
Of what law enforcement knows.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ready for all of it.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever be ready.
Deep. Yeah.
Because the way they found the bodies, I mean, it's just, Tylee, it's kind of one of those things where I'm thinking, was it just that personal with her that she was disposed of and burned the way she was? Or I think maybe probably what happened is they found out it's just not easy to burn a human body.
Yeah.
And then when it was JJ, it's just easier to do it that way.
I don't think Chad liked Tylee.
No, because she probably called him out on...
She probably did.
Being, an idiot.
Yeah.
We don't know Tylee, but everybody that knew her that we've talked to, or, every story we've heard, she was spunky and she spoke her mind.
Yeah.
So it could be that, is it a thing where Chad convinced Lori, hey, she is going to screw up your chance of being one of the 144,000? And
yeah,
I just want to know, because I've never thought the motive, honestly, was simply money or just to get rid of the kids.
No.
It would have been easy for her to send JJ back to Kay and Larry, and then Tylee didn't want to move in the first place.
Yeah.
She could have stayed with a friend. She could have stayed with her brother. So I just don't see inconvenience or even insurance money. You can't do insurance money. I mean, you got to have a body. But I don't know. I just feel like maybe in Chad's mind, I don't know. Did you think he really believed all the stuff he said he believed?
Dude, you made me read that book. Don't forget. I just sit and I read the whole thing.
You looked so dead inside reading it. It was just like it had sucked your soul.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. But I don't know. I think he does. I mean,
Yeah.
and we know this isn't the LDS Church. That their beliefs are way over here in left field, and like, yeah, it's almost like, okay, I'm gonna make up all this stuff and I believe it, but you're not gonna let me tell this or teach this, so I'm gonna go over here and create my own place.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on it.
Yeah, but I think honestly for Chad, it was maybe his purpose was inconvenience. He just didn't want the baggage. But I don't think that it would have been, my gut tells me if he would say, Lori, we don't need these kids, I don't think she would say, okay, kill him. I think it had to have been some sort of a religious base for her to go along with. I really do. Yeah. I think she had to have been deep in it. And I might get flack for it, but I always just go back to up until 2018, things were, I mean,
she was crazy, but not murder crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, I just feel like it had to be some sort of, brainwashing. But at the same time, I don't think she was crazy. So I think she went.
But then you look at it, he didn't kill anybody either till he met her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. That's very true.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
I'm just ready to get all the evidence out so we can see it. See if Wood, like just release the stuff. Let's go.
Rob.
Let's see it. Rob, come on.
Hey, Rob.
Drop them charges.
We're waiting, bud.
Yeah, drop them.
But I don't know. There's even times where I think, is it that Tylee's murder was spontaneous? Did something happen? And I think a lot of that'll be answered when we start to see purchases from before the murders, surveillance of ring cams and road cams and business cams that can pretty much track cars as they came and went. I think a lot of that'll be answered. Was this premeditated, at least for Tylee, or did something just happen that night and then it all broke loose and then she's dead? What is JJ seeing? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows? That's why we need to see some stuff, y'all.
Yeah. So why do you think Lori isn't coming to the hearings?
I mean, I don't know. Because in the beginning, she really loved being at that hearing. And then if you notice, I think maybe March, or was it June? It's been a long time since we've seen her. I think maybe June or July we said was the last time. I don't know. I mean, is it that she's got some clarity now and she sort of realizes what's going on? I don't know. I don't know. Is it that Mark Means is telling her you don't have to be here and let's not get people talking, so just don't come?
Yeah, but we still talk about it.
Oh yeah, so, all day long. So she it would be good if she would come, but like I can't wait till masks are a thing of the past.
I know, right? Because she gets to hide behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like she's all about appearance up until she was arrested. Mm-hmm. She's all about appearance.
Yeah. I'll never forget that bond hearing in Hawaii.
Dude, if you say this is just the same thing I was about to say.
What?
If you're gonna say when she looked. When
she gave him the crazy eyes?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I saw that clip the other day.
Yes.
So what we're talking about, if I can find it, I'll Facebook and tweet it. There were 2 times that she gave him really evil eyes. But this one was when this lawyer, bless his heart, he was so nervous. I mean, he was shaky. His face and his neck was really red. It's a big case. Everybody was watching this bond hearing. But so they say that it's like the bond's $5 million. And then he turns and smiles to his assistant who's with him. And then he turns and looks at Lori and I don't know exactly what she mouths. To me, it sounds like you're going to get the money. And then her eyes do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, her eyes are like, it's like they protrude out. And then they go back in. It is literally the look of death.
Yes.
I mean, we both saw it. I was like, whoa, look at that look. But if you look at, you remember them extraditing her, putting her on the planes, walking her on the tarmac. A ton of people were recording it and putting it on YouTube and stuff like that. But it feels like that was so long ago.
It does.
It's crazy.
It does. But then she had you can't arrest me. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. And she was shocked with the $5 million bond. They went back to lower it. And but no, when the judge in Hawaii said bail is confirmed in the amount of $5 million, like
I loved it.
You see her chest rise and fall, and it's just the slightest disappointment that comes across her face.
Yeah, I love that judge.
Oh yeah, she was great.
Yeah,
all the judges have been good.
Oh yeah,
I like Judge Edens. I thought he was, just they're all good judges.
Yeah.
So we will see what happens in the future. We got some stuff coming up next month, but I just feel like when these charges drop, everything else is just going to kind of go bye-bye. I don't know that they'll drop the felonies they have on them. They'll add them on, I'm sure, but
tack them on.
It's just, there's so many charges going to come down. I mean, not only do you have, we counted last episode, 5 murder charges potentially, you're going to have all kinds of other charges associated with the murders.
Yep.
You're going to have conspiracies. You're going to have, I mean, there's just so much stuff we don't know about, like fraud with the Social Security stuff. She's still cashing the money, using the money for the kids.
Yep.
So it's a whole mess.
Yep. It's a lot. Dude, this has been really cool.
It's been fun. Just kind of, I mean, we could literally with this case do this for 6 hours solid.
Yeah.
But one other thing, we know Colby and his wife and baby moved to Rexburg, and I think if that's what they need to do, good for them. I do wonder if Colby's contacted his mom.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not my business, but I think there's a reason Colby's in Rexburg. I don't think it's just, it's Rexburg.
It's cold.
It's cold. It's snowy. I hate the cold, y'all. I cannot wait to come to Rexburg.
I love the cold.
Oh, no.
Like, give me that snow.
I
love it.
No. At our age, you fall, you break a hip.
That's why I don't fall.
Snow ain't fun no more.
Dude, I don't fall.
Yeah, well, I do, and you know this.
Yeah, you do.
All the time. So, yeah, when I'm 90, it's going to be such a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, I fall at 43. Can you imagine, like, 85?
Yeah.
I'm going to have, like, bionic hips.
No, you gonna be one of them bubbles. I'll put you in one of them Zorb balls.
Nah, just wrap me in some bubble tape.
Yeah.
When you get bored, you can just press me in.
Yeah.
But I my heart goes out to Colby and Charles's boys and everybody. It's just the reach is just so far for Payne, and it can get frustrating when you feel like the wheels of justice have kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
But it's just the way it works. The other case we want to cover, the Roden murders, you're 5 years in and there's been no trial.
Yep.
So we're not going to get a quick resolution by no means. And
no.
But I just want some more information. We need some new stuff to chew on.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about this the other day. I was doing some genealogical stuff and family tree stuff. And we forget, like, we know Kay and Larry and some of those, Annie and Colby and all those. But we forget about the other sides of the families who, I mean, JJ had other grandparents and just,
aunts and uncles.
Yeah. And it's more than just this small amount of people. There's a lot of people that have been affected by this case.
Teachers, teachers' aides. There's just, it's a lot. We've lost students. We know the pain with that.
Yeah.
It's just all encompassing for a very selfish reason. I mean, anytime you kill somebody, it's just not worth it unless you're hurting. I mean, I could totally take a life if somebody's hurting my kids or somebody I love. Yeah. But just, for stupid reasons or something that's not self-defense. I don't know how people do it. I just don't get it. I don't get any of it. Yeah. And kids is worse. I mean, it's a tragedy when anybody's murdered. It's just when they're kids. It's because
they have no choice.
And they have a whole life ahead of them.
Yeah. And I think JJ, you look at him, I think he was born premature. I think he was way underweight.
Yeah.
I think he weighed like 2 pounds or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he fought to live.
Right.
And then to die this way is just, that's horrible.
It really is. And
that's why we just want justice for them,
Yeah. And I think one of the neatest things about doing what we do is the people that we've met doing this, whether it be listeners or family members or whatever that, we've developed friendships with.
Yeah.
So positive can come from these tragedies. I've seen it every case I've covered. A lot of nasty can come from this, but at the end of the day, the focus is on justice for these kids. And like we say in the intro, it's a long road.
Yep.
It's a very long road, and it's years. And it's hardest, obviously on these families that are left behind to have to put up with these hearings that are kind of frivolous and just a waste of time. But every time there's a hearing, it's just a reminder of why you're there.
Yeah, it's the wound never heals.
No.
So it's constantly being reopened.
It's
so.
never going to heal. I don't think wounds heal for any family member that has lost a loved one to murder. But then you combine the national and international stage, and everybody thinks they have an opinion about you, just like we do. But the family members, they get a lot of grief in the process. And that was one of the things on that documentary last night was, one of the family members said, look, we didn't ask for this. And to be getting the messages we're getting it ain't right.
Yeah.
Regardless of what people think about extended family and intentions, for me, I don't feel like that's my place to judge.
Yeah. I don't want to attack a family like that on either side. And that's why we try to stay respectful on both sides, because, I mean, Chad's kids didn't choose this. Tammy's sister and all, they didn't choose this.
Charles's kids,
Charles's
ex-wife.
Yeah. None of them chose it.
But now, and it's the rest of their lives will be kind of branded with this tragedy because it's so all-encompassing.
Yeah.
And that's really sad, because I think it keeps families from being able to move on.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm friends with some of Travis Alexander's family, and they're at a point to where they just don't want to talk about it anymore because they can't move on.
Yeah.
And every time they turn around, there's an article about Jody somewhere, or there's a new special coming out.
Yeah.
So it destroys lives, even for people that are innocent and had nothing to do with anything. They're going to be the focus of speculation and news articles and because this case is going to get the documentary treatment for decades.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a case study in, fringe beliefs and how destructive they are, and child murder and mothers who allow their kids to be murdered, whatever. We still don't know we still don't know who murdered those kids.
Yep.
So it's just a whole crazy area of life to kind of focus on with crime. But I think there is a morbid curiosity with people. For me, it's just, I look at all these people and think, how could you do that? So for me, it's sort of, I love the legal process. But it's all just it's interesting, I guess is the word. It's just, there's so many different angles and yeah, I don't know.
Yep. So our other cases, there hasn't been a lot. Like we talked about Leticia with Gannon Stauch. The Victoria Rose Smith case, there's nothing new right now with that.
No, they're still getting the signatures, so we still have that pinned on our social media at the top. If you haven't signed that yet for Victoria's Law, please do.
Yep.
And
it's over 40,000 now.
It's a lot. And her mom, Victoria's biological mom, has been posting some pictures of her with her babies, and it's just man, it's so sad to see because the kids look healthy and happy.
Yeah, they're totally different than the ones with
so at ease and comfortable. And to compare the pictures from mom to the murderer, it's just night and day. And so it's been really hard for me to look at those pictures, because you see that you have a situation where it just didn't work out for mom to get what she needed to get done. Yeah. And then look but you can just see the love in every picture. It's just, all these cases are really just getting started. Even Lori Vallow, we're just getting started, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Your comments are so funny.
Oh, they're the best.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember the lady, but the catastrophic comment.
Oh yeah. That was
so funny.
Cause we tweeted out on Facebook that once we started listening back to the podcast to make sure the sound was good, that it wasn't. And so I'm like, well, my kids don't mess. They're too big to go turning knobs. And Fruit Loop was like, it was the cat.
Yep.
Poor kitty getting blamed for everything.
It was the cat.
You could have hit it with your elbow.
No, it was the cat.
Okay. Don't blame my cat for everything.
Yeah. It was the cat.
So I think we should do this more often, like where we just sit and talk. I mean, we could do another 2 or 3 episodes where we just continue on throughout the year and talk about more stuff with this case. Maybe we will, but I think we should call these the chewing the fat sessions.
Chewing the fat.
Because that's what we do in the South.
Sweet tea and chewing the fat.
Yep.
That's right.
It sounds like diabetes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all we had. We just really wanted to kind of just sit back and whatever popped in our head, and nothing new, nothing earth-shattering, but our own little thoughts.
Yep.
So
you got to sit on the couch and this is normally how we sit and talk about cases. So
right, yeah. Normally we just kind of like she's sprawled out on one side, I'm on the other, and we got like 3 little ducklings in the middle, or you know. So yeah, but this is kind of how we go. Yep. Just on a normal basis. So we'll do this in the future. I like it. It's kind of relaxed and fun, and I don't feel like I got to look at a list and stay on topic. Yeah. Which I don't anyway. But
yeah, ADD we both suffer from. So.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I'm essentially like that dog in Up.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Mid-sentence, get distracted. I'm
like that dog. Bacon. Where's bacon? Bacon. Yeah.
Ooh, I want some bacon.
There you go.
I got to go take my grandma to the store.
Yep.
Bless it. She's been getting ready all day. She started washing her hair at 10. I think like at 2 she was getting dressed. So we're almost at 5. I think she's ready.
Make sure you get those chocolate covered marshmallow cookies.
Oh, no. No.
She loves those things.
And she's a diabetic. But she, she's 86. So she's like, I'm 86. If I die of a diabetic coma, I died happy.
Yeah. I'll never forget that day I was over there and the nurse came to check on her and stuff. And she was telling her, what'd you eat for breakfast? And Grammy eats oatmeal pies.
Oatmeal cookies,
Oatmeal cream pies for breakfast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so she told the lady that, and the nurse was like, well, you need to eat better. When she walked out of there, Grammy said, I'm 80. Well, she was 84, I think, at the time, because she's 85 now, right?
86.
Okay, I knew I was close. She was like, I think I can eat what I want. I said, Grammy, you eat what you want.
Exactly.
You've earned the right.
Well, when I go grocery shopping for her, I usually go twice a week. Today, she's just stir crazy. She's been literally at home for a month. We're not letting her out too much. But she sends me her list. So she's really cute. When she gets her shopping list together, she puts it by aisle. So the top item will be, as soon as you walk in the store, you go right and go to the fruit. And then you make your way over to the milk. And, but it's like bananas, bacon, oatmeal cookies,
vanilla wafers.
Get me vanilla wafers. Grab me a bag of Snickers to put by my bed in case my sugar drops overnight.
Yep.
And so her new thing is she's been sweating during the night.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, Grammy, do you think maybe it's the things I'm buying for you at the store that you eat before you go to bed that's like got your sugar at 500 during the night? I don't care. No, I'm just hot.
It's hot in here.
Oh, well, it's like 85 in her house.
I would say 89.
I'm going to tell you.
You walk in immediately.
December, you wear sweats over. When you get in, you take off and get down to your bikini.
Yeah. Yep. Shorts and a t-shirt.
So I'm going to go take Grammy grocery shopping because I got to stay on her good side. And we got to take care of our elderly.
There you go.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you on Wednesday unless something big happens, and you never know.
Yep.
Things could drop any second now, and we appreciate you guys.
Yep.
A lot.
Yep. Y'all have a great rest of your day and a great Monday.
See you soon.